I've done without A, the technology, and B, the support of the people around me. But imagine for one moment that my parents had been scared of technology, that it was restricted and treated as toxic waste, not to be touched by vulnerable youngsters like us, that I had never learned to type, that I was insecure about my handwriting skills, and thus about my creative writing skills, had never amassed a large collection of work, and never published a book. At that point, my speaking here would be virtually impossible. But the truth is that every day there are students who are still struggling to write, who are still struggling to type, who don't have a lot of access to technology, who have limited access to computers, and have difficulty finding creative ways to channel their thoughts to use technology. So next time you have second thoughts about technology, about 21st century tools in the classroom, think, are you stopping an author, an engineer, a teacher, an astronomer, or even the next president? Admittedly, many technology problems or technology accessibility problems have their root in monetary problems. I know that a lot of school districts are feeling the pinch of the economic recession, and that finding funding for basic needs can sometimes be difficult. In the face of difficulties for paying for things like teacher salaries and school maintenance, then technology might seem sometimes like a luxury. However, there are many free or low-cost options out there, Google Docs, OpenOffice, and for everything that you think is, oh man, it's really expensive, there's usually a low-cost option, and there's usually a way you can find the money. What's more, spending on school technology is not so much money lost as an investment in student futures, and your futures as well. Despite the innovations technology provides, many school districts severely limit internet access. So one school I video conferenced with only lets students access 2 websites. 2 websites out of the millions out there. Raise your hand if you know of more than 2 good educational websites. Raise your hand if you know of more than 2 good educational. I'm seeing mostly raised hands. I know of a few off the top of my head. Time for Kids, National Geographic, Bartleby. There are so many great websites, National Geographic, History. The list goes on and on and on. There's really a whole treasure trove of learning out there that you can find on the internet. I understand that lots of school districts block websites for security and privacy concerns, but there are many great safe websites out there. So, switching topics slightly, an article in the Washington Post actually caught my eye recently. So the article was called "Movie Theater Churches Are Catering to Kids," or Catering to Kids. And it is, as you may have guessed from that title over there, how churches are catering to kids, and how church services that take place in movie theaters appeal to them. So one movie theater chain houses about 200 churches, and I think that education has something to learn from this example. While I'm not suggesting that you set up shop in a movie theater, although seeing Life Cycle of a Frog would be so cool on the big screen, then I am saying that you should use something that kids already know and love, something that kids already use. In this case, technology. And besides, if kids get disillusioned with their favorite technology, something like, man, this can be used for education, it must not be cool, then you'll have at least one less annoying piece of gadgetry on your hands. If it can't be used for education, it probably is not cool, and if it can, then it probably is. Although the theme of this conference is paving student pathways, the title of my presentation is, as you saw, opening doors for student achievement. So this works for me since paths usually lead to doors somewhere anyway. I've talked a lot about technology this and technology that, and I just want to remind you that just like a beautiful dress doesn't make a fashion icon, I think that dog has a little ways to go, equipment alone won't make an innovative classroom. It's really about you. You must innovate, and you must have the attitude going forward that I'm going to forge this new path. It's not just about technology. The innovative classroom is truly created by you. If technology is the master key, then the teacher, after all, is the one who has to turn it. The technology coordinator, director, or coach is the one who makes sure that the edges fit into the lock. And the librarian or media specialist helps oil the hinges of the door, keeping those knowledge cogs running. The administrator makes copies of the keys and hands them out, hint, hint. And so in the process of unlocking doors to student achievement, it's so important to have openness. Openness is a great word because you think it needs a dash, but it actually doesn't. So raise your hand if you consider yourself open-minded about continued exploration of this brave new world of educational technology? Raise your hand if you consider yourself open-minded about exploring this brave new world of educational technology. Great! We should have no problems in that department then. So the other half of openness is the ability that technology gives us to break down and go beyond classroom walls. It's not just the four walls of the classroom are staying there like that, and it's the ability that it gives you to go beyond that. To connect, collaborate, and create through technologies like engaging online curriculum and video conferencing, which allows you to really go beyond, to connect with others, and to bring learning from the outside world into your classroom. And you can use such multimedia content to really pique your students' interest. So, for one example, why just read a textbook entry about lizards when you could see COSI Columbus's Reptiles Live program over video conferencing? So here's a snapshot. I found this on CILC, the Center for Learning and Collaboration. So I typed in COSI because I knew I was coming to Columbus, and I was able to find Reptiles Live. So that's really cool how you can show students that learning is really all around them. When you have this multimedia content, you're bringing learning into your classroom. You're going beyond the four walls of the classroom. Through distance learning, you can learn from field experts and eyewitnesses to historical events. After reading my book, then students are able to meet the author over video conferencing, and it shows them in many ways that authors aren't abstract concepts, but real people who live and breathe and talk, kind of like reptiles. So connecting and seeing and hearing is a really great way of showing that learning is all around you. So when I teach students about reading, writing, and social studies topics on video conferencing, I often see kids looking in awe at the video conferencing monitor and saying, "We're on TV!" Even after learning that no, they're not quite on TV, the shock that comes after learning that I can see and hear their every move is really incredible. And it holds their attention. What's more, I use online streaming and record videos to share my teaching, not to brag, but I think that I'm able to hold their attention for almost an hour because it's interesting instruction coupled with this amazing technology. And technology makes it all possible. Even veteran video conferencing students who have seen the technology in action before get excited when we start a session because they're excited, they're captivated by the content. Now, one of the most important things I want to tell you about today is student empowerment. After all, we students are a rather disenfranchised group, don't you think? We can't drive, we can't vote, we can't drink. That was not so important, actually. But I suppose that compared to kids in many other countries who grow up with a lot of choices. We're able to choose our kinds of clothes, we're able to choose our kinds of cereals, and music, and what we want to be when we grow up. But when it comes to education, suddenly a lot of our choices are just taken away. And